Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wrestling Royalty in association with Gimme a Hell Yeah. We are here tonight to be talking about the news everyone is talking about, quite frankly. This is the fallout from Friday Night SmackDown, where we saw the return of The Rock and a potential call out to Roman Reigns. Now, this has gone massively viral for all the right and wrong reasons, but at the very least, everyone is talking about it. So I thought it would be remiss of us on both Wrestling Royalty and Gimme a Hell Yeah not to talk about it. We've got the big crazy intro out the way. We're going to go straight into it tonight. We are, of course, going to be talking on this for probably about half an hour or so. So it's not going to be too long. So I really want to hear your comments. I want to hear what your opinion on the whole Rock, Roman, Cody situation is. What did you want to see? Are you happy with potentially what's happening? Or do you want to see something completely different? Did you want to see Cody? Did you hashtag we want Cody, or are you happy with the potential Rock versus Roman main event at WrestleMania? I am going to, in a couple of minutes, going to bring in Sam from Gimme a Hell Yeah, because, as I say, we're here with Wrestling Royalty and Gimme a Hell Yeah. But let me throw up this. So on Friday Night SmackDown, before I bring in Sam, who was streaming live for Gimme a Hell Yeah when all this went down, we've got a few comments that are already in there, and we will get to everyone's comments. I promise we will go through them as we go on. I want you to get in the comments. Let me know what your opinions and thoughts are. I know some of you are going to be really hyped for this. I know some of you are going to be not so hyped for this. All I would do is ask you to remain respectful of everyone else's opinions, because that's all they ever are, is opinions. And we're here to just have a chat, a nice friendly chat. If it does get out of hand, we do have the power to block people for a little bit, put you in timeout. Don't be a naughty kid. Don't make me do that. Be respectful of the people. That's all we can ask. And we are going to bring in Sam on that, because hopefully he will be respectful. I'm sure he will be. He always is. Mr. Sam Smith, how are you doing, sir?
I wouldn't count on it. I got some thoughts. Yeah, no, I'm all right.
That's good.
Been out for dinner. Had a few drinks. Had a bit of prosecco. Got very, very mixed feelings about this whole thing, but I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't want to steal your flow.
We absolutely will. So before we go any further, before we throw any more slides up, I'm going to read through the comments we've already got there, which is first one, Crazy Ginger Jake Holden. Thank you for your comments straight away. Got a couple in there. Very obvious decision business-wise, was the only option available. I wanted Cody versus Roman, but when Rock's available, especially with two of WWE's biggest stars being out of Mania, Punk and Brock, it was the only option, and we'll finish that there. We've also got another guy who I'm sure is going to be really keen to have his views on this as well. So we've got a couple of stars from Gimme a Hell Yeah. Dan Hargreaves is joining as well. We are blessed. How you doing, Dan?
I'm not bad. On yourself?
Very good. Very excited to talk about this, because it's been stewing on my mind ever since it happened on Friday. But we've got a few more comments we're going to get through. We've got Dean in from Scenescape Shop, big friend of all of our channels. Great to have you in, Dean, who is very excited. And I know for a fact Dean is a huge Rock fan. So I got a text from him earlier. A bit disappointed by some people's reactions, but I think he's happy to see the Rock back under any circumstances. We've also got John in, who I know is not happy about the situation. Adrenaline in our souls. We want Roman, and they would have been flowed better, I feel, if it said Roman and Cody Rhodes. But yeah, Dean's already retorted to that with chants of Rocky. Taylor's in, says it's time to finish the story. John's going to go sit in the corner, eat popcorn, and be quiet. I bet that doesn't last very long. Don't be quiet. Get your comments in. Will Rock versus Roman be for the title? We'll get into it. We'll have a chat about it. Dan's making sure he's doing the crossing the T's, dotting the I's, saying hello to everyone, shaking hands, kissing babies in the comment section. Taylor, I'm a massive fan of The Rock and think we are due Rock versus Roman. But now is not the time to just randomly pivot the story. And as Dan said there, don't be quiet. Right. So what we're going to do, just explain. Sam, you were on Friday night or into Saturday, or the early hours of Saturday morning, really, in the UK. Explain to us what went down from Cody coming out all the way through.
So all the way through the episode, we had heard, I was getting reports from good sources. Misfit was helping me out as well, sending me stuff that had come directly from Sean Ross Sapp, all about the Rock is in the building. He's been seen in the gym, but we also knew he was in the building. Like, it got to the point where we knew for a fact he was in the building while I was on stream. And so he's obviously coming out. And people are like, so does this mean? But we're already hearing reports, the early reports, that he's facing Roman at Mania. And we thought, well, how's this going to go down? And then it all just kind of happened. Roman comes out, runs down Seth Rollins for what he said on Raw, which is good storytelling, great way of bringing everybody into it. Then Cody comes out, and I kind of thought Roman's going to do something just one thing that snips it and makes Cody pick him. One thing. And then he goes, I am coming after you, Roman. That is the title that my dad wanted. That is, everything. But I'm not coming after you at Mania. And then The Rock came out and literally nothing happened. He just they looked at each other. I think WWE thought this was going to be a bigger deal than it was. And like the overwhelming negative reaction to it kind of speaks for itself. We'll get into it deeper as well, but there was people are happy to see The Rock. But then when things kind of became clearer, when the show went off air, things really nosedived. I didn't get to bed for a while after because I was just reading the reactions, and here's the thing, I'm a Rock fan. I think there's a lot of people assuming we all just don't like The Rock. No, we don't. We love The Rock. We do. We always have. Just this might again. There are ways they can make this right, but I think The Rock might lose a lot of fans if this goes down a certain way. I think he might go down as a Hulk Hogan figure, and not for the good ways.
Yes, that is a comparison that's been made from the time that Hogan kind of inserted himself after the fact with it was Bret Hart, wasn't it, against Yokozuna at WrestleMania, where he sort of stole the day, where he was the one who went up against him in the end and got the title. But there's a few things we are going to go into. We're going to try and break it down a little bit because there's the sort of the initial what happened, then there's the reaction, and then there's the continued reaction, and then maybe we'll go into a little bit of kind of like theories moving into the future. Love to hear all your guys' future. So if you're watching, don't be shy. Hit that comment section in there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button while you're there and the likes and everything like that as well. For whether it's Gimme a Hell Yeah or Wrestling Royalty, we are very thankful for you being here. But yes, as Sam said, we had Cody all night kind of teasing, looking a bit pensive with Pharaoh, I think, at times as well, in the back, stroking his head, thinking about what's he going to do? Is he going to pick Roman? Is he going to pick Seth? Seth did a hell of a promo on Monday, Dan, and we saw a bit of a replay of that on SmackDown as well, where he's saying, do you want the Hollywood belt, which is Roman's, this belt that's a bit of a joke because it's never defended, or do you want to be that workhorse champion like your dad was? Like Terry Funk was. It was a little bit weird because that one where they replayed it, they named some massive stars. Like, do you want to be Ultimate Warrior or do you want to be Ric Flair? And I was like, I don't think either is particularly like good or bad. It's just like different horses, different courses. But anyway, good promo package. What did you think of Seth getting involved in that? Because the seeds were, I guess, for this were planted on Monday on Raw, where Seth was saying, come fight me instead, not Roman. So what did you think of that start?
I think from Seth, it was such a well done promo because obviously with what happened on Friday, it was very, very gently sowing them seeds. And I think that if that promo hadn't happened, this would have had an even bigger negative reaction.
Mm-hmm.
With Seth coming out and basically saying, and trying to goad Cody Rhodes into challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship instead of the Universal, it played into their storyline from the previous year with Cody's pec injury. We had the trilogy, absolutely fantastic trilogy of matches. So it's another continuation of that storyline. Cody returned at WrestleMania, going up against Seth Rollins. And now he could go up against Seth Rollins again, but take the title off him. And I know people are probably going to shout at me, but if that's a WrestleMania Night 1 main event match, would I be disappointed? Not in the slightest. I'm probably one of the only people that would like to see that match headline WrestleMania. Obviously, we do want the Cody versus Roman Night 2 main event match for the Universal title. But I wouldn't be disappointed if they did switch it to this one. But in terms of the storytelling, there is a few different ways you can go. But I mean, I'm sure we'll be discussing that shortly as well. So I'll save that for a bit later on.
Yeah, so we'll pick it up from there, and basically, the decision was kind of made there to kind of say, or a challenge was thrown out, I should say, from Seth to pick him instead. We then got the Roman Reigns came out, cut a promo on Seth's promo, saying, that some things were said, and I can't let that escape my attention. I don't like recapping. I like to move forward, and then kind of diminished Seth and said, he's broken his back, he's got a knee injury, he walks like this, he wears his wife's clothes, things like that, putting him down. Out came Cody after Roman had said, your story is to finish. If you want to finish a story, you've got to beat me. And said he's not going to beg him, but that and leave it as that. Cody came out. And this is where I think things get a little bit interesting for me, because Cody used some language within that, which was quite inflammatory in the sense of even in that short promo, he was saying, that title you have is the title that my dad had and was taken out of his hands. That is the title that I need to win. Then he said, as Sam mentioned earlier, but not right now, or not at WrestleMania. He's mentioned he'd taken counsel from other people. He then said, and there's someone who knows you very well, out comes The Rock, Birmingham, Alabama, which had been a great crowd all night, by the way. I will say that.
Yeah.
They went absolutely ballistic. Lots and lots of love for The Rock coming out, which I think there always is going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe that changes moving forward from now, but that initial pop, probably what they wanted. And then Cody leaves the ring after a hug with The Rock. Rock whispers something in his ear that we're not privy to. Watching him go all the way down to the backstage area again. Turns, has a confrontation with Roman in sense of just a stare down, and that was it. There wasn't anything else. There was no fist flew. There was no words spoken. It was just a stare down, which at that time normally you'd say is all that is needed. And then social media exploded. Let me read out, and then I'll come to you, Sam.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah.
Up to this moment, I've just had a look before we came on live. Hashtag We Want Cody has 338,000 posts since that happened. The video that WWE posted on YouTube of the clip of Rock's return and confrontation with Roman has become the most disliked video on WWE's YouTube channel. Currently over 500,000 dislikes. They've also re-uploaded the clip of Cody talking to edit out bits where he looked a bit forlorn. So that has changed and has been re-uploaded. There's a lot of stuff that's happened. Hashtag We Want Cody was also kind of echoed by Logan Paul getting involved. Now, there is some reasoning behind that because him and Rock have had a bit of a famous falling out. He said, we want Cody. And it'd be weird for someone who's supposed to be a heel to go full face and back with but there's a few superstars who have kind of said things that hint towards that way. Sam, you had a point you wanted to say, and then we'll go into some of the comments because it's going gangbusters in there.
Yeah, like with the Seth thing, that was great because it was interesting to see how Dan interpreted it as him goading him, because I saw it from the other way around. I saw it as a mutual respect thing of sort of like, okay, we haven't liked each other on a personal level, we probably never will, but you and I, Cody, you and I are the two here. Like, we are. It takes kings to understand each other, and I know you're the only person who's going to understand what I'm saying to you, and that is, I'm the guy here, I'm the champ, I'm the A-champ. Roman isn't anymore. He's made himself that way. So if you and me do this, you and me are the main event. If you want to be in the main event, you and I, but I can't do it without you. You're the Royal Rumble winner. If you and I together, we can make the decision to eclipse Roman. We can make the decision to push Roman down the card, and you and I main event WrestleMania. We make this the title. I'm the guy, and whoever walks out is the guy after that. So I saw it as, I didn't even see it as a pleading thing. I saw it as one babyface saying to another babyface, there's a better way of beating Roman, and that's by not acknowledging him. That's by us replacing him and us moving on from him. That's how I interpreted it, and that's like I think how Cody in character interpreted it as well, because it was like, holy, I never thought of that, because I had never thought of that either until they said it, and so I thought that was really clever storytelling. Again, I have my thoughts on what they've done and the various routes it can go. But we'll go into the comments first.
We'll go into the reactions, and then we'll go into theories kind of after that and split it up that way. I think that's going to be the easier way to kind of address some of the stuff here. So we'll go back onto the comments then. So Dean said Cody versus Roman wouldn't have deflected from the very real problems WWE is facing. This is Triple H making fans outraged for something less harmful than real life. We'll segue that into the kind of theories behind why they're doing what they're doing after we kind of pick up the reactions. There's a long conversation, by the way, so I'll pick up some of the comments between Jake and Taylor here, who says The Rock is an actor. This is the only time his schedule fits to wrestle. He probably has acting plans for next year, so he can't. That is true. Obviously, last year we had a lot of production shut down because of the writers and the actors strike, which has kind of put a hold on a few projects. So things have been moved around, backwards, forwards, etc. So it is very possible that a hole has kind of appeared in The Rock's schedule. And he said, The Rock's not an ordinary wrestler. He's an actor. He has other plans. It's either Rock and Roman now or never, because this is the only time Rock's schedule. That is very potential to be true. We don't know. Obviously, The Rock isn't getting any younger. There will come a time where he says, I can't do that and what I want it to be. So I'm just not going to do it at all. So there is obviously that possibility that time isn't on their side to get this match done. And I think one of the issues is if you rewind 2-3 years ago, this is a match that everyone would have loved. I think it's more the circumstances. But again, we'll get into that in a second. A bit of back and forward. John, don't be shy, man. If I start, I won't stop. That's the idea. We're here. Just I see you've got a couple of comments in there. Keep them coming though. We want to see more of what you're all saying. Let me see. This isn't a WWE business point of view. That surely has to come from The Rock. Now there is an interesting. I will kind of start here because this is one of the reactions I've seen a lot. Is that this is purely down to business. This is to get casual fans involved into watching WrestleMania because The Rock is a household name, or Dwayne Johnson is, and we are going to go to town. What do you think of that side of things? Is this purely down to let's get as many eyeballs on WrestleMania as possible?
I did see a very small article. It wasn't a very big one, but it did say that for The Rock to officially be part of the TKO stock controlling, stock board members, whatever you wanted to call it, he had to hit certain key points and margins to be able to qualify for a $30 million return on his investment. So if I'm The Rock, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure WWE's viewing figures are going up. You'll put yourself headline of WrestleMania when you haven't been there for, when was the last time he headlined? WrestleMania 19? Somewhere on there?
Like where he against John Cena, wasn't it? Was one of the 20 something where he had like the 2 match against John Cena.
So 28 and 29. So if you look at that, it's 11 years since we last saw him in a proper storyline, a proper match at WrestleMania. People who might not have seen The Rock as a wrestler have just known him through the Hollywood movie scene. Moana being a big one, and a lot of people that maybe have heard of The Rock as a wrestler but never seen it. It's an ample time for them to be brought into the WWE universe. So that's going to generate new viewers, new merchandise sales, because I reckon he'll be having T-shirts if he does. It'll be weekly viewing figures, YouTube viewing figures, Instagram, TikTok. It is all part of that bigger sort of picture for The Rock of all I'm doing is going to main event WrestleMania, but at the end of it, it could be $30 million banked for him. So I can see from a business point of view, it makes logical sense, but you do have the fact that you could be alienating some of the fans that want to see Cody finish this story this year.
Yeah. I'm sorry. There's a lot of kind of back and forth going on, and I want to make sure we get round to everyone. So let's see. Let's jump into this one from Taylor. The only way that this makes sense is that Roman fights on both nights of WrestleMania, and WWE makes Rock fight for the Universal and Cody for the WWE title, allowing Rock to retire the Universal. So there are a lot of theories going around at the moment. There's a lot of people who kind of fantasy booking if there's a way out of this. Is there a way that Cody does kind of face Roman? I can see, we will bring him in a second. We've got Anthony from Give Me a Hell Yeah is around as well. So we'll bring him in a few minutes because I'm sure he's got some things he'd like to say as well, on the basis that if anyone who's watched Give Me a Hell Yeah from the coverage from last year's WrestleMania, Andy was one of the only ones who said Cody wasn't finishing the story. So it'd be interesting to get his point of view on the current climate and goings on. There's a lot of talk whether Cody's a mainstream star, and that's a difficult one because no, on the sense of things, I don't think he is a mainstream star if you are comparing him to The Rock, because The Rock has been in a Disney film as the voice, in Moana. He's been in the Fast and Furious franchise. He's been in lots of different franchises. At one point, I think he was actually called Franchise Viagra, because if a franchise is failing, bring The Rock in and he'll turn things around. He'll get it up again. So, there's The Rock is a big name. Dwayne Johnson is a big name. He is a pull. So you can understand from a business perspective why that might be it. However, Sam, I will ask you, is Cody the week-to-week fans' choice and Roman is the kind of casual viewer choice on the business decision? Or is there somewhere that we're missing? Is it not quite as black and white as that?
Yes and no. This is really, really great comment from Human there as well. By the way, about the casual fans aren't the ones who fly to WrestleMania and spend thousands of dollars. That's so bloody true. So I look at it this way. It's so like, look, if there's good ways to look at this and there's bad ways to look at this. And if anybody thinks this is all bad, you're wrong. And if anybody thinks this is all good, you're wrong. Sorry, you are. Look, there's a lot to love here, and there's a lot to be very, very, very worried about. This is the only way I know to answer that question, Andy. And I haven't fully got my thoughts in a row with this. So you're just going to have to, I know I'm a rambler at the best of times, but you are going to have to indulge me on this occasion. I'll try not to be too long.
Keep it as succinct as you possibly can.
I'll do my best. So, right, is this a business decision from them, and are they right about that? Yeah, of course it is. Yes, it is. Is The Rock a star in general in terms of popular culture? Yes, of course he is. There's no debate there at all. But is Cody the guy that they're trying to build into the next person who could be The Rock one day? And has he got a very good chance of being that? Yes, he does. And look at this fan response. What does that tell you? That tells you that they've picked correctly with Cody. He is this person, and one day, he might not ever be on the level of Cena, Hogan, or The Rock, but he's there. He's, as far as wrestling goes in a modern sense, he's not far off. He's on the right path. Now, so it is getting in the way of storytelling, at least in this initial reaction. At least it certainly seems that way, but it doesn't have to end that way. I know we're going to go into theories a little bit later, but this could actually be a masterstroke, but it depends on what they do next. It does this is done now. This has been made, so we need to make our peace with it. And there really isn't a huge amount of point in grave dressing it, in going, oh, The Rock's politicking backstage. Oh, they're throwing out 2 years of storytelling. We don't actually know any of that stuff as a fact. They might not be throwing out any storytelling. There might be a wider plan for this. Now, it's a little bit frustrating at this moment in time. And I don't think it's good enough that, they've got people talking. I don't think that's a good enough reason. But I'm personally, I would have hoped they had kept it as it was. Let's not be honest. CM Punk and Brock Lesnar not being on the card has been a major reason why this has happened. This wouldn't have happened without that. We know that. So again, we'll get into theories about what's going to happen in a bit. But in terms of like, is it the best business sense? I think in the short term, as people were saying in the comments, yes, of course it is. But in the long term, unless they do it the right way, unless they're very, very clever about this, which they might be, then it's long term, it's very, very, very bad business. Again, like, yes, getting eyes on the product at WrestleMania, yeah, that's great. Yeah, brilliant. That's fine. But it's only one WrestleMania. This company has to exist for all the years and decades after that. And we can't just keep bringing The Rock back. And the idea that we should always prioritize bringing back a legend to push out a would-be legend one day and saying, oh yeah, well, it's just business. That doesn't stand. It doesn't hold. You can't keep living in the past. I agree with it might be now or never for The Rock, but it didn't have to be WrestleMania. It could have been in Saudi Arabia. It could have been in Australia. There were other options. Now, this might turn out to be one of the best things ever. But again, we can't truly analyze this fairly without looking at the theory crafting that we're going to do in a bit.
Yeah,
so,
we'll get there. We'll get there in a second because there's a couple of comments I'm going to bring Anthony in after that. John, I think, makes a really good point, and this is probably one that I will kind of go across to Anthony with, who said, I think it's very important to note that I don't feel like this is Triple H is doing. This feels like something that's gone over his head, and that's why I feel so negatively about it. So I've spoken to John a lot, and his kind of feeling on this is that The Rock's made a bit of a power play here. There's a bit of Vince booking, and that's the kind of tree that he's learned under. So I'll bring in Anthony because I'm intrigued to hear his thoughts on this one. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday night where there's a lot of comments popping off. There's a lot of opinion going on. So why don't we get your opinion to start with? How are you doing? Let us know what you think, mate.
I think before I start, I just want to sing a song. Really, I told you so. Cody Rhodes.
You haven't told us anything yet. You don't know anything yet. You know as much as
and
we
I
do.
told you this was gonna happen. I gloated on the chat and I'm gloating on the podcast. And speaking of franchise Viagra, hello, how are we all doing?
I've just realised, Andy, we're on your show, so I can't remove him.
Yeah. We are on Wrestling Royal, but we're also live on Gimme a Hell Yeah, which is why we've got 3 representatives from Gimme a Hell Yeah. Dom is probably fast asleep somewhere doing not a lot right now. But it's great to have the 3 guys who will do some talking right now. So I led you in. Franchise Viagra yourself.
Hey!
Let us know.
So the thing is, Sam, you said that this isn't this was not planned. This is because they've lost CM Punk and they've lost. Nah, this was always the plan, man. I said right, and the other thing was it's at the detriment of the story. Is another quote that you said, and that is incorrect. Because
No, I didn't. I said it could
Cody
be. I said it might end up. I just have to correction.
Sam, you've had your time. Let Ant speak.
No, but that wasn't correct. That wasn't correct.
Okay.
If that's not, that isn't what I said.
Accept. So I accepted. So, but you said that Cody could be the next Rock if they carried on with this story. It's not about Cody. It's not Cody's story. It's Roman's story. Roman will be the next Rock. That is the whole point of this. Who has more of a chance of being the next Rock, Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes?
Can I respond?
Cody Rhodes will be back in AEW in a few years' time. He doesn't matter. Roman Reigns is all that matters in this whole story. And I've said this all along. And the Rock and Roman Reigns makes complete business sense. Yes, wrestling fans are going to get upset. But guess what? There's about 800,000 people who watch the wrestling in the US. Yeah, they watch it as wrestling fans. The rest are all just casual observers. And everyone else that comes to watch The Rock versus Roman Reigns is going to get to see Gunther. And they're going to get to see all this talent that we love and hopefully engage them in the product. It's been the concept all along. Cody can win that belt down the line, right? It makes more sense from a story perspective for Cody to not win at Mania. It makes more sense for Cody from a story perspective to win at Madison Square Garden, where his father held the title for a little bit of time, and you call it finish the story. You call it Cody Mania. I don't care, right? If you are going storyline perspective, that is where you can do that. The Rock versus Roman Reigns is so important, but I'm here to gloat. That's all I'm here for, baby.
I've got to say, to be like, there's a lot I agree with there in terms of it. You know, I do.
You haven't agreed with me for a year and a half, Sam.
I have bloody quite a lot. So like, there's a lot to like there. Like there really is, because that's what I've been saying all along. Like you'll notice.
This is verging into what, you know, like we're guessing we're going to go into sort of fantasy book, and just let me get a few comments out of the way, and then we'll kind of move towards there first, because you're gearing up for another monologue, and I need to stop you in your tracks.
No, it wasn't that. It was.
Yes, so we've got a few more people who've joined. Always great to have other voices in. You man, what casual fan has thousands of pounds, as you said, to fly to WrestleMania? Casual fans can create social media buzz, but wrestling fans are the ones actually paying real money. I think that steers more towards Sam than Ants, but I think when you look at viewing figures, because as someone else has already pointed out, WrestleMania is sold out or very close to selling out already. It's not like they need to shift tickets. That's not majorly a thing. I think if you're going to WrestleMania, you're always going to go to WrestleMania. Like, I'd be surprised if you're going on the strength of a card, because let's face it, cards subject to change. It was never kind of guaranteed either way, which is, you know, the line that they'll always go with. We've got the Dosser himself, Tyson Fury. This is a perfect business move for WWE, an awful creative choice, but can go hand in hand. Both can go hand in hand. But I think this time can be forgiven as long as it's not a constant theme. Rishab, hashtag we want Cody, nailing his colours to the mast there. And Taylor's obviously still in agreement there as well. Yeah, he's waiting for Sam to write a 1,000-word op-ed on how WWE messed up Cody's story. We'll move that off there. But you will be able to, I am currently writing something at the moment, which is going to be on WrestleSphere. You'll be able to get a written piece on that very soon.
Can I just say, I'm not the guy who... I'm not one of these We Want Cody guys. I'm actually not with Rishab on this. I'm not one of these who thinks, oh, this is a brilliant idea, because we don't know yet. It actually might not be. But it also could be as well. I'm in the camp of, I will wait and see. There are things I like about it, and there are things I really don't like about it. Now, if there are things I trust WWE on here, and Cody and The Rock, to get right, but it could also go the other way. So, but I don't want anybody to think I'm the guy here who's dead against it, because I agree. I've always wanted to see The Rock versus Roman. The only thing I'll disagree with Ant is it isn't just about one guy's story. I would argue that Roman Reigns is already The Rock in terms of the modern Rock. I would argue that he's done it. And we've got to get thinking about, but he's not very good at being the babyface version of that. He's a brilliant heel, but he was never, ever, the fans rejected him as a face. They might not in the future. But in terms of, we do have to get the next guy, the next Cena, the ones who all the kids are going to love. We need to find that guy. And we do need to protect that guy. And I also disagree with, I'd love actually to see Cody back in AEW one day. But right now, with the way they're both going, and I know both go up and both go down, but right now, he'd be stupid to do that. And I don't know if he ever will go back, because I think, again, we don't know anything for a fact, but I think there are forces there that are preventing him from ever going back, and they're the same forces that caused him to leave.
There's a comment again that I think echoes what I was saying before about WrestleMania. Even if you think back to the very first WrestleMania, now they brought in a celebrity to boost the viewing and to really kind of make it take off. When they got Mr. T in the tag team, we've seen it before where they've brought in, I think at different times they've had people like Butterbean as a boxer in it. They've had, different from boxers to musicians to... It's a spectacle, and that's what WrestleMania has always had to be. And I think sometimes that clashes, because we have seen it before where people have been really unhappy about a music section taking too long at WrestleMania. But let's face it, if WWE went, you know what, we've had The Weeknd as our 4-time or 5-time WrestleMania theme, we're going to get him to do a 5-10 minute spot. People aren't going to be happy. but I guarantee you that's going to do some figures because The Weeknd is a very popular music icon. So that's
Bad Bunny did that.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that, to be fair, because I've seen him live. But anyway, so there's a little bit of support there. There is a comment that I've seen, and this is what I want to ask Dan about. And Taylor said it. Why did they even have him win the Rumble? Now, this, I think, is where it breaks down a little bit into opinion as to whether it was Seth, whether it was Roman, etc. But to me, I do feel because of what they did at the end of the Rumble, where he pointed at Roman, because of the things that were said in the promo, where he said that is the title, it's almost diminished not only winning the Royal Rumble, but also Seth's title along, like sort of as collateral damage as well. How do you feel about that? Does it diminish a Royal Rumble win? Does it diminish Seth's title? I like both of those answers, please.
For me, 100%. You've already established that the World Heavyweight title isn't your main title because of the grandeur behind it. It was brought in because the main title that you want to see isn't being seen on TV on a regular basis. So they had to bring in this second world title. And Cody's come back. He wants the top dog spot, no pun intended, with Roman. But you've said that Cody wants to take that title off of Roman, and now you're moving him down to a B level part. So for Cody, I don't think he will ever be satisfied as a performer, as a wrestler, as a man, if you want to go that far, until he has the highest belt available to him. And when you say that, when people say that Cody is going to maybe challenge for the World Heavyweight title, it's like taking one of John Cena's promos against Roman himself, saying that Roman took the Intercontinental title as a demotion. And I think that is a very clever promo from back then that can sort of ring true for this point. I know it's not probably Cody's not gone into this wanting the secondary title, but mitigating factors have forced his hand into maybe challenging Seth for that title at WrestleMania. So if you wanted to build Cody up, I mean, I have actually been on the Gimme a Hull Yeah YouTube page, and I've been throwing a few different sort of polls out there for people to interact on. And I've just put one up a few minutes ago. Would you have preferred The Rock versus Roman at a Saudi Arabia show? Because we know quite a lot of the time that them shows are not very storyline driven. They're spectacle shows. And for me, The Rock versus Roman is a spectacle show. It's a spectacle showcase matchup that would I think would have been better headlining that show. And then you can still leave that position open for Cody and Roman at WrestleMania.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, and this is what I'm going to throw across to Anth, I think, and ask, like, on that point of view about the Rumble in particular. Why did we have him win the Rumble if we could have kind of avoided all this effectively and maybe had The Rock as a last-minute entry? Because surely that makes it a cleaner story in sense of Rock versus Roman, Seth versus, the Seth versus Cody thing could have been done away from a Royal Rumble win, which is maybe where the waters have been muddied. What are your thoughts on that side of things?
Well, I think it's another chapter to the Cody story. In terms of if he wins the second Rumble, what does he have to do next year to get a match with Roman at Mania?
Yep.
He has to win the third Rumble, and nobody's ever done that before. So to really put Cody over, I mean, the only person that's ever won 3 Rumbles before is Stone Cold, but there wasn't in consecutive years. 2 of them were, but the others were. So if you really want to put Cody over and give him something special, there's a special thing you can give him right there. I think. I'm going to quickly go on to another point as well, if you don't mind, Andy, because I've got to go soon. I'm doing another John Laurinaitis podcast because
Oh, God.
fun. Yeah, thanks. So one question I want to put to everyone out there, to the listeners and to you guys, is who is the most over babyface that WWE have produced in the last 10 years? Quick one. Who would it be? Dan, let's start with you.
Daniel Bryan, Yes Movement, biggest thing for WrestleMania 30.
Sam?
I would go with Daniel Bryan as well.
Andy?
Are we saying away from Cody Rhodes?
It can be, if you want to say Cody Rhodes, that's fine.
In the sense of a white meat baby face,
Yep.
I'd say it's very difficult to not say Cody Rhodes.
Cool. The interesting thing is we had the exact same situation with Daniel Bryan in WrestleMania 30, right? And how about instead of this just being a thing of The Rock coming in and taking over, how about this is a really freaking clever move by WWE, because they're going to get people watching The Rock and Roman Reigns. It's going to happen. Wrestling fans will probably turn against it, but it doesn't really matter because the media are going to be covering it. If Cody Rhodes on Friday night went, Roman, I'm going against you, do you think ESPN Sports would be reporting on it? Absolutely not. ESPN Sports were reporting the day after that The Rock is facing Roman Reigns at Mania. That is getting it wider media exposure. By doing that, they've alienated the WWE fans into Cody. And actually, you look at the Yes Movement, which is one of the biggest sort of movements that happened beyond wrestling. The Yes Movement was happening at sports games across America. There's potential that WWE have actually thought about this and actually given this to Cody to give him that moment or give him an opportunity at that moment. And ultimately, it's not going to infect us wrestling fans because we keep watching. We watched for the last 5 years when it was absolutely garbage with Vince McMahon in charge. We are going to continue watching this because it is engaging. And him going to Mania and facing Seth Rollins is just another chapter. Is that all? There's a lot to unpack there. So I'll let you unpack.
I've got one issue, though, that just to poke holes in all of this. Can Roman's title reign really go on for another year? Because people are already, and I know the four of us are fatigued with it. And I'm somebody who actually, when Cody lost last year, and then I fantasy booked some of it correctly the next year, and you'll remember because you're on stream with me, the next year in my head, I thought, oh my God, this is genius. And I really, really, really hope you're right. But the issue I've got is I'm not so sure. I think you might be giving WWE too much credit there. And secondly, I'd like if let's say they go after San Martino's record and it works and they can make some good storylines out of this, then yeah, brilliant. But the Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns match, what did that teach us all? Something we already all knew, which is this isn't working anymore unless they find a way of doing this. Otherwise, it's going to be a year of frustration. Eventually, like I agree, you can't give the people everything they want because then it's like there's no storytelling. There's nothing. If you spoon feed your fans everything they ask for, then you're a terrible writer. But at the same time, if you constantly deny them what they're salivating for and you never, ever, ever give it them, then you're just as bad. There's got to be a balance. The fans and the writers and the creators are two parents of that child raising it together. And you've got to acknowledge the other and you've got to be prepared to work with the other. So my worry is Roman for the next year. That's my worry now.
Right, we are steering, so we'll go fully into the theory side of things now. One thing I will say though, Sammy, is what you're talking about is wrestling 101. You watch wrestling for the babyface to win, eventually. But in my opinion, and I will go to my grave saying this, wrestling is at its most entertaining when a heel is on top and a babyface is fighting. When that dynamic switches, it's less interesting because yes, you can do it for a while. The villain of the story is going to do nefarious things to try and get to the top, but we watch because we want to root for the underdog, the baby face, whatever you want to kind of call them. And eventually when they get there, you get that nice big moment of yes. And the problem is, what then?
But not always, though. You can book a successful title reign for a baby face.
It just turns a new page. And that's what's going to happen here eventually. But we will go in. And interestingly, I did have it written down here. One of the points is it a swerve? Now, as was mentioned earlier, WWE has been getting some very bad publicity recently in the sense of things that are probably beyond their control right now. Anth is going to cover this over on another stream as a continuation. So make sure you check that out because the last one was Dynamite viewing. But is this a way of them, one, flooding social media away from the Vince stuff and making sure that people are actually concentrating on the product side of things? And that may be dark in some ways, but it is getting people to kind of go, let's talk about The Rock and Cody. Let's not talk about this very serious, very horrible thing that's going over here. Look at the left hand, not the right. So there's that possibility. And also, as Ant said, is there a possibility that they're kind of put themselves in a position where you and the rest of the world all wants Cody Rhodes? Because some of the things I've seen is, do you have on tomorrow's show when Dan is covering it over on Give Me a Hole, yeah, we're on Raw, do you have someone like CM Punk come out and say, what are you doing, Cody? Stop getting in your own way and get back into finishing your story? Because he can do a brilliant promo where he could go into, you know, I came up against this exact thing. I told you this 2 weeks ago. I thought it would be me, but they've done it to you with the exact same guy that did it to me. Don't make my mistakes. Don't become jaded. Make the same mistakes I did. And that is a brilliant promo because it also feeds into, don't go against Seth. You beat Seth 3 times. Well, you don't need to do that. And it kind of downplays him. Cody Seth then plays in. For me, that would be amazing. I think that's a theory I love to see. There's also a theory of going, does The Rock goad Roman into signing a contract? And then actually The Rock is special guest referee because he says, you didn't check the name of the contract. I will be in the ring with you, but the other person is going to be Cody. So there is ways to get around it. You know, and I feel that with the social media backlash, this is setting up because there's a lot of people already talk about it. Is this the next Yes movement? Do we see on Raw the fans hijack when Seth and Cody eventually come to talk to each other? Do they boo the hell out of it? Do they like completely crap all over what happens tomorrow night? Do they just shout Cody for the full thing? I don't know where it is. I really, really hope it's a loud crowd rather than one of the dead ones that they can go to. And let's not forget, WrestleMania's in Philly. And where did The Rock last have his Philly thing? Where he got booed for holding Roman's hand up after the Royal Rumble. Yeah. Philly will let you know that they don't want things. This would be a ridiculous idea for me to have a main event where the crowd will hijack it. I don't think that either way now they can do what they were going to plan with The Rock versus Roman, if that was the plan, because it will sound horrendous. I've thrown out a few theories there. I want to hear your theories. Keep the comments coming because I can see them coming through. I'm not ignoring you. There's a lot to go through. Prince Ali, the American Nightmare, going to turn into the American Psycho in a second. I hopefully he does snap because he's been too nice at the moment. If Cody takes the title from The Rock, that'll still be big, but it's just not the same. And The Rock will probably lose against Reigns. That's from observing stuff. Your man doesn't think WWE's that clever in sense of what we've kind of been going through there. There's a very funny comment. I'm not going to read it out from Penelope, but Penelope, well done. That did make me laugh about a tag match. I will go through that, I'm sure, detail in the next stream that's coming up. Until The Rock lobbies to beat Reigns too. There's a lot of kind of that.
Taylor's pissed off. Taylor is PO'd.
But I'm glad to see lots of comments coming from them as well, though. Mark, good to have you in, mate. You're always coming around and getting on involved. I have a feeling Cody faces Roman at SummerSlam title after potentially beating Seth, then I'll presume. Who do I go to first? Amph, I know you've got to go. Theory, where are we going with this? Like, lay it out. What do you think is the best case scenario? What do you want to see happen? Do you just want to see Rock versus Roman, Cody versus Seth, and be done with it?
I just want to see The Rock versus Roman. I want to see Cody versus Seth. I want to see Cody take the title. I want to see Rock lose to Roman Reigns. I think that makes sense in terms of building up both people for the future, and it makes that is more exciting programming and potential programming than if we'd just gone to Cody and Roman in WrestleMania, in my opinion, which I just think would have been a drab match like the last one. And also, I think, like I said before, the reason you've got to do The Rock and Roman now is because when Roman loses that title, I think he's turning babyface instantly in that moment. I think Solo Sikoa is going to cost him the title. and everyone's going to be thinking. Now, one of the things that Sam brought up earlier was about people being tired of the thing. When I watched that SmackDown video, I saw a lot of ones in the air, right?
Yeah.
I saw, and exactly the same at Mania. I was surprised by how much affection people have for Roman. This is setting him on course to turn babyface and then have the potential to become that future star that The Rock is, in my opinion. So I'm saying pretty basic in terms of everything laid out. I don't know how the fans are going to change things. I don't really think they are, but I think that they'll play into the story, and I think Cody's intelligent enough to do that, as well as Triple H.
Yeah, Mark's also just put. I can't believe they're doing this. It's so weird. Mark has just said, WWE, I've just watched it on their X account. Cody got attacked by Nakamura spraying mist in his face last night in Knoxville. I don't know what that's about or why, but it is a real thing. I've just watched it. If you want to see it, it's over on WWE's Twitter account. So
Cody can't do out with Seth at Elimination Chamber, can he? So they're going back to that. That looks a bit.
Yeah, let's tide him through from the month. We're going to go Sam, and then we'll finish with Dan. 9 minutes. We're going to stay on for an hour. Is that Ants waving goodbye?
Yeah, you guys do stay on as long as you can. I'm going at half 9, but it really doesn't matter. Have a great stream. This is really good to hear all your opinions. I love you all. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Dude.
Now he's just awkwardly hanging around.
Yeah, I would have loved to have heard what Dom has to say to this. He's gone quiet. I'd love to. What's it? If you go and hang out with him this week, I'd love to know what he's saying, Dan. I might ring him tomorrow and find out. I just want to quickly say,
we'll go to you first, mate, and then we'll go to Dan. So if you've got any comments, let us know, because we will keep reading them out till we go on. I am going to try and wrap this up in about 8 minutes' time to hit the hour mark. I know there's people who have still got a lot to say. Let us know in the comments. Keep them coming. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't been here before. Always great to have you. We love speaking to new people, so don't be shy if you're hanging around thinking, I'm going to hear what other people say. Let us know what you think. This is your platform as well, and as long as you keep it clean, I will read it out. Sam, off you go.
Right. I don't know what's going to happen. I want to quickly just take issue with people thinking I think this doesn't make sense. I'm not on Team Cody. I'm not on Team Rock. I'm not on any team. I want to see how it plays out. There are things I love about this. There are things I hate about this. I'm open to... Anyway, but I'm going to give you some fantasy booking. This is going with the idea that Roman does lose it and Roman doesn't hold the title for another year, because I do think he needs to lose it at Mania, because we haven't pointed out that there have been reports today of Cody and Roman being at SummerSlam, so that worries me. But anyway, here's my headcanon. So, what worries me about this is they're saying Rock and Roman Reigns might be the main event of night 2, so that gets in the way of this being the case. But anyway, I'm fantasy booking. So in this situation, Cody officially picks Seth. And because he's the Royal Rumble winner, they say, all right then, guys, you two are the main event of WrestleMania. Rock is facing Roman, and he's relegated to night 1. He's still considered the main event, but you boys are getting night 2 because, you're the Royal Rumble winner, and that's always been the way it's been, at least most of the time. So that happens. So night 1 happens. Roman beats The Rock. There's a good match. But he alienates the bloodline, the remaining members of the bloodline in doing so. So this plays into some of the other fantasy booking that I've done in the past. On night 2, Cody and Roman face each other. Cody and Seth face each other. They have an absolute barnstormer. It's babyface versus babyface. There's not a huge amount of heat, but there doesn't need to be. This is who's the better man. Cody wins. Pins Seth clean. Seth embraces him and says, "You have finished the story, brother. You are the man." And gives him the ring and leaves. And as Cody is celebrating, fans are happy. It's not kind of what they wanted. Right, Roman's still got the other belt, but then Roman comes out and attacks Cody. And this is all about, you have stolen my moment. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be in the main event. Get me a referee. We're doing this. We're doing it now. And that is when I think it plays into my fantasy booking from before. The bloodline turn on him. Roman eventually loses. Cody finds himself with 2 belts. Daniel Bryan moment, but in Philly. So that is a way they could do everything and still make it happen. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that. I'm not saying they are. I haven't heard a goddamn thing. That is just one way, in my mind, they could sort of please everyone. And it'd be a hell of a shock watching that. And I love the idea that what Seth said on Raw the other night has got in Roman's head. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, as well as we haven't really had like the massive blow off from Seth versus Roman, because Seth beat Roman and then it was just never really spoken about again. So that has to be a confrontation that we get at some point. Dan, last few minutes, let us know.
I'll be very quick for you. For me, I've been putting a couple of polls out on the Gimme Hullier YouTube page. I put one out. Could this be a great way to turn Cody heel, but with justification, because he's been screwed out of the title last year. He's been screwed out of possibly the title this year. So could he end up snapping and then just going on an absolute tear as the heel and taking the title off Roman that way? Roman disappears for a little while. Once Roman comes back, he would be babyface, ultimate, absolute white meat babyface, because Roman has been this absolutely despicable, absolute menace as a heel with the belt. I know it probably wouldn't happen, but do you think that would be an interesting way to sort of completely switch it up? Because you're not getting the Cody Rhodes kissing babies level of babyface. You're completely flipping that script very quickly.
Quite possibly, yeah. While you were saying like there, I just feel like there's a chance for them to do a few things where it echoes Dusty Rhodes in particular, because I feel like Cody's imminently about to cut a promo where it's a hard times promo, where he's going to say like, all this stuff going on with me doesn't really matter. Like, there are bigger things in the world, and really kind of hammer this home for now. And I think they are going to kind of push like this bad luck Cody sort of thing that's going on, to the point where I'll add a bit on. I do think he is going to go against Seth, and I think they're going to properly do him over. He'll win against Seth, and for seconds we'll have that belt in his hand before Damian Priest cashes in and they rob him of the belt. And you watch the reaction. People will be wanting to root for Cody, because you have to find a way for Cody to continue being a babyface. And at some point, if you don't, he goes down the route of what you said, Dan. As we always say, let's quote The Dark Knight, where it's, you live, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain, which is happening to The Rock right now. He was everyone's favorite, and now he's suddenly becoming a villain in a lot of people's eyes, because he's come to rob Cody Rhodes of his chance, of his WrestleMania story, etc. And I just have a feeling that maybe they will go down that route of Cody Rhodes has to have an edge at the very least. But as we've seen with Drew, you can kind of make someone a sympathetic heel to a point where they've got, they have their points. There is a reason. We're going to wrap things up in this like last minute or so, and the next thing we're going to see, Raw tomorrow night. Please join Dan for Monday Night Raw. All being well, he will be streaming it live or watch along, so you can watch everything that's going on your devices, what you want to call it, and listen to Dan. Have a chat with Dan and say what's going on.
Come and join me.
Yes, and his snacks and everything like that. After Monday, we are hurtling towards WrestleMania, and they are putting on a WrestleMania press conference live from Las Vegas. Now, apparently the reason why it's in Las Vegas is because I believe that is where the Super Bowl is, and that's where the world's sports press is. So they're obviously doing this to say, hey, before all that kind of kicks off, come and see The Rock, etc. I'm a little bit disappointed, by the way, for Bayley, because Bayley's promo on Friday with the Damage Control was fantastic, by the way. They got that absolutely spot on. Why Bianca Belair's on there as not a champion and at the moment isn't involved in a match, I'm not 100% sure. It would seem to suggest that they'd like having Bianca around at these events, and maybe she's going to go against Rhea on the other belt, which would be another discussion I'm sure we have to do, because everyone was presuming it was going to be Becky Lynch over on Raw. But anyway, that is going to happen 4 p.m. Pacific time, which I believe is about midnight over in the UK. So I'm sure at some point we'll be covering that, whether it be on the Friday stream that we'll do next week. But there'll be more fallout, I'm sure, from this kickoff press conference that they're doing. next Friday, and then we are on the way to Elimination Chamber, not too far away in Australia, the back end of February, and then nothing in terms of premium live events all the way through to WrestleMania. Yeah, I was saying, this said, put Bailey on the poster. She won the Rumble. There seems to be a bit of disrespect all over for her. Norma joined us as well. Punk's out due to triceps injury. Same thing happened twice in AEW. Another triceps injury and a foot injury. After he comes back, if Punk gets hurt badly again, career serious jeopardy. Yeah, absolutely agree. Again, maybe Punk is a moving part here that's changed certain things. But we'll see if Punk gets involved in any kind of promo side of things, NXT. Speaking of NXT, you can go watch mine and Sam's preview of the show, which is going to kick off. So you've got enough time to go back, watch that NXT preview before it happens live in a few hours' time over on the WWE Network. You can catch it there, or Peacock if you're in the US of A. Is there anything else you guys want to have a quick chat about? I'm going to wrap this up in the next 30 seconds. Have you got anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to plug?
One final point. I thought what you said about CM Punk was amazing. That'd be a great way to use him while he's injured as well. Just stick the guy on the mic. Can't wrestle, but that don't mean we can't use him in the ring. Don't mean we can't have him in storylines. Half of us would prefer to see him on the mic than in the ring anyway. At this point, that's good TV anyway. But yeah, I'd just like to plug WrestleSphere and give me a whole year as if we can, boys. Give me a whole year Monday. Obviously, watch Dan tomorrow night. We're back on Wednesday with Ant, who's about to do his own stream as well now regarding some really negative stuff. And then Friday, we'll be back for SmackDown. Also, check out WrestleSphere. We've just done an interview with the Knockout Champs, Rosemary and Havoc. We're really proud of that one. They were lovely about it. We've got an interview with the UK Target Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Rossi Rascal, going up early this week. We've got Andy's feature regarding Cody coming as well. And we've also got the beginning of our Why You Should Be Watching series beginning this week. And we're starting with TNA because it would be a bad week to start with WWE.
And by the sounds of it, everyone's watching WWE anyway, because let's face it, when you've got, I believe it's now about 350,000 posts saying hashtag we want Cody, either there's a big social media thing going on or people are very interested and everyone is talking about it, which I think is at the end of the day what WWE be wanting. But we're going to sign off there, whether you're hashtag we want Cody or hashtag Team The Rock, I don't know if that's a thing, or hashtag just bring it. It's been fantastic having you in. Thank you for all your comments. Keep them coming if you're watching this after the fact, because I think this is a hot topic where people might be watching it. We will respond if you comment. We will get back to you. So make sure you leave your thoughts, your comments, things like that. And yeah, go check out Ant's stream, which is I think going to kick off in a few minutes, which is a bit more of the fallout from Vince and John Laurinaitis. So a bit heavier than the stuff we've been covering here. So disclaimer, there is some heavy stuff that will be discussed over there. Please go check that out. Because the last one was great as well. Let me see. Let me just really quickly play this. And then I'm just going to say, I've been Andy, he's been Sam, he's been Dan. This has been Wrestling Royalty, and give me a whole yeah.